We all know that Call of Duty has really lost the point these past few years, right? Cell shaded maps, stupid, goofy crossover skins, terrible matchmaking. They just don't understand what the average Call of Duty player wants anymore. And this upcoming game, Black Ops 7, developed by Treyarch, is going to be no exception. What's up, guys? And welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. I know this video is going up on Saturday. No video tomorrow, but I will be back again on Monday, hopefully. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. I post Black Ops 7 and sometimes Battlefield 6 content all over the channel. I'm pretty active these days, so yeah, hit that sub button and leave a like if you haven't already. I want to get into this quick quote from a Call of Duty developer, and he's addressing the skins, the goofy crossover skins that are getting really hated. Anywhere you look, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube comments, people just shutting down the game when they see Beavis and Butthead and weird art style cartoon anime skins. Yeah, let's talk about this quote. So he goes, "We always try to make sure that we are trying to touch the widest audience." Wow, pause there. "I've had the pleasure of working on Call of Duty now for almost 20 years, and we're constantly looking at ways to push into different audiences and fans, and that's what you saw with that. There are fans that really love it." He added that he's aware that there are fans who those may not be their favorite. That said, he assured that the team is going to try to calibrate that as they move forward and take that feedback seriously. But ultimately, he stresses, but again, we're trying to make sure that all fans feel represented in the game, and figuring out tight balance is something we're paying attention to. Bro, what is this cat saying? First off, I get what you're trying to say in terms of like, some people actually like this game, right? Okay, some people actually like the fact that there are goofy skins. Oh my god, I love Beavis and Butthead. I love Nicki Minaj, and I want to play as them. Yeah, that's fine. That's not something that is always been in Call of Duty. So I'm not entirely sure what he means when he says all fans want to feel represented in the game. Does that mean that if, I don't know, my favorite basketball player who's not LeBron or Kevin Durant, if he's not in the game, I'm not going to feel represented and I should complain until they put that in the game? Like, no. I think there's some groundwork and development that needs to be stable. I don't think Beavis and Butthead belong in Call of Duty. I don't know how many YouTube videos I have to say this in, but I think that there should be some ground rules. And I think that this is just a load of BS. The main reason they're doing this is not so fans feel represented, because that doesn't make any sense. It's so that you can make a ton of money because people will buy it. I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. If you want to argue with me, you could say like, oh, if people want to buy it, it means that they do it to feel represented. I don't think so. I think they're doing it to be a nuisance. I don't think that many people are resonating with Beavis and Butthead and Nicki Minaj. The average Call of Duty player, maybe they're doing it for Nicki Minaj for like, because it's a woman. Oh, look at me, I'm a girl in a video game. Maybe it's that reason. As far as like Beavis and Butthead goes, I don't think like 90% of the people who play Call of Duty now were like alive when that show was running. I was barely alive, or I was not old enough to watch it at least. So it's like, and I'm getting unk status here. So I don't really understand who this is for. You know what I mean? Like, unless this is for those like 40, 50-year-old dads who play like once a week. Is that who the audience you want to cater to, Call of Duty? You don't want to cater to the people who, make YouTube videos, the people who like play your game, talk about your upcoming releases. I don't think those 40, 50-year-old dads, and again, no hate to you guys. If you are watching this and you're like a 50-year-old dad and you're like, what is this guy talking about? I love Beavis. Like, I'm not talking about you. Like no disrespect or anything like that, but sadly, I think you're in the minority these days, right? I think Call of Duty is trying to appeal more so to kids. And it just, I guess they're trying to be Fortnite, but it doesn't really work. You're supposed to be realistic and gritty. Fortnite is not supposed to do that. Fortnite's supposed to be just for fun and, hanging out. Another reason why Call of Duty is just falling off these days is because this comic book tweet here. A Treyarch dev basically explains why Pick 10 has not returned in Call of Duty. And he says, "We haven't went back to it yet because I'm not convinced it's better." Brother, these are the people who are running our games. Dude, this is like saying like, I'm not convinced I'm going to like drive a car to work because I'm not convinced it's better. So I'm just going to keep, riding my bike. Like, brother, what are you doing, dude? It's way better. And I think that it requires a lot more balance, trade-offs, and, fine tuning to get things right. Maybe they don't have the resources, the manpower, or the skills to do that, how they did back in Black Ops 2. Maybe. But dude, I just don't get what world we're living in where a Treyarch dev can't see that Pick 10 is better. I think Pick 10 is amazing, right? As long as you get it right? It has to be nailed correctly. You can't just make it, you can't just throw in a bunch of perks and stuff like that and be like, okay, call it a day. You guys just choose whatever 10 you want. Like, some people would even argue like Black Ops 2 Pick 10 wasn't even amazing or something like that. But I think that it just requires a lot of balance. It requires you to play your game. I don't think developers do that. Maybe they want AI to play their game these days, and maybe they're just too lazy. It all leads to the same overall fact that Call of Duty has lost its identity. They are phoning it in. They are not caring. They're literally doing whatever just to get paid at this point. The passion's gone. It's like an artist who they wrote like one season of a hit TV show, and then the contractor's like, hey, we need 10 more from you. And you're just like, as an artist, you're probably just like, or a director, you're just like, what, bro? Like, I did this for the love of the game, and then now I have to do this just to get paid, just to, keep the lights on and keep food on the table. That's kind of what it feels like with these devs, right? Can we get some people, like, no, I'm not, advocating that people lose their jobs, but can we get some people that care about what they're doing? Like, please, like, I think there's a lot of people who care about Call of Duty who would be willing to play test and give feedback. And some of them would do it for free. This COD fan base, right? They don't really care about that kind of thing. They want a good game. I want a good game. And so, I don't know. That's kind of where we're at, man. Treyarch devs don't understand why Pick 10 is not better. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about here, I got a couple of pieces of news in this entire video. So, if you still haven't subscribed, hit that button. But yeah, this comes out from Charlie Intel. He says Black Ops 7 is one of the first Call of Duty games to not top the PS5 pre-order charts days after announcement. 3 days after the reveal, the Vault Edition pre-order peaked only at number 8 on the list, both editions behind Battlefield 6. It's actually kind of interesting. A lot of the stuff here in the pre-orders, like 2K, Battlefield, EA Sports, Battlefield again, Metal Gear Solid, Borderlands 4, like a lot of the stuff you don't really hear that much. Maybe it's just because I'm like a Call of Duty bubble or something, but you don't really hear that often. Like, oh yeah, let me go play EA Sports, FIFA or Metal Gear Solid or 2K these days. You don't really hear that. It just kind of goes to show how like casual the PS5 charts are, the PS5 pre-orders. Not saying that if you play on console you're a casual or anything like that, but I think when it comes to pre-orders, who's pre-ordering games? That's the first thing. Who cares so much about 2K that you want it day one? I don't know. Maybe I'm just lost in the sauce and I just don't understand, sports games anymore. I used to play sports games, to be honest with you guys, but maybe I just don't get it anymore. But yeah, this news that Black Ops 7 is way behind Battlefield 6, not surprising at all. First off, Battlefield 6 had betas, had multiple betas. Black Ops 7 literally just got revealed and it's already kind of pre-ordered pretty decently high, considering we don't know anything about it. We haven't seen any multiplayer footage aside from 5 seconds total. Yeah, this kind of adds up. I think a lot of people are blowing this out of proportion, but I think Call of Duty should look at this and be like, oh, we can't just do nothing and expect to be number one, right? Again, the overall theme of my channel is not to see the downfall of Call of Duty, but I do want to see Call of Duty get better. I want to see competition. I like that, Call of Duty is not at the top, right? I'm not preying on its downfall. I want it to be a success, but I don't want them to do wrong decision after wrong decision and then still end up with success, because then they're not going to learn. They're not going to understand Call of Duty players actually want XYZ. But if you keep giving us ABC and then they keep selling out, and getting the top pre-order spot, it's like they're never going to switch on over to XYZ, because why would you need to, right? You don't literally need to if you can get away with what you're doing and half-assing stuff. So Anyway, man, I think I'm pretty much running out of time here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. You know, I covered a hodgepodge of stuff. You know, before I go, I just want to say like a quick thank you for the channel. You know, recently fairly successful. You know, not every single video is hit, but a lot of you guys have been sticking around and enjoying and commenting, stuff like that. I'm sorry, I've been getting a ton of comments. It's been a little hard to keep up, but one day I will sit down and just read and, you know, like and respond to a bunch of comments, you know, so again, appreciate that so much, guys. Like the video if you still haven't already, and comment down below if you're surprised. You know, are you surprised that Black Ops 7 is so far down on the pre-order list? I'm like low-key a little surprised, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys later. Peace.